Michelle Reinglass, I'm so excited to have you on today's show. You and I go way back, right? You were one of the first lawyers that I ever had the pleasure of working with. You've been a leading representative of the legal community, both in Orange County and throughout California. Too many awards to mention when it comes to the practice of law, when it comes to being one of our top mediators and arbitrators here in Southern California. But that's not why you're here today. You're here today because of a fantastic new book that you have coming out, Leading with Legacy. I know you contributed a chapter into the book. Let's talk about it. For everyone joining us, we're going to be live for about 15, 20 minutes. Ask your questions. Share this out on all the platforms using the share link. And let's get Michelle and Michelle's chapter known around the world 10x, because everybody already knows Michelle. Michelle, it's good to see you. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you enjoy doing, and a little bit about this new book that's coming out.
Mitch, thank you so much for allowing me to be on your platform. I love being with you on the show. So thank you. I'm a reformed lawyer turned mediator, and I'm also an author, speaker, associate producer of some documentaries now, and a few other things like that. So that author part, I am actually working on my own book, but in the interim of my own book, this is back 2020, I met a person called Kate Butler, and she's a publisher, and through some people I knew. And so the next thing I knew, I was actually invited to be an author. And what she does is she specializes in these co-authored books. So it's group books, and particularly with women. So she has a whole series of Women Who. And so that year, 2020, and Mitch, you kindly had me on your show for that one.
I remember that.
Was Women Who Empower. And she didn't know at the time that doing women empowerment events was my jam back then. It still is when I have time. But in any event, so that was my first book that published while I'm still slogging along writing my own book. And here we are 2 years later, and I was invited to this very, very, very special book with Kate Butler, and it was called Leading with Legacy. So, and the previous books, normally they have 30 authors, and this one she selected 20. What she did, she put out some poll. I don't remember where that came from because I don't remember it, but so she went to all her authors in the back, all the way back, and let them vote on, I guess, the 20, I don't know, most inspirational or something authors, and somehow I got selected for that.
Somehow you got selected. That doesn't surprise me at all. Like I said, you're just a master when it comes to oral advocacy, when it comes to writing. Been writing pleadings and articles for our local bar association magazines for years. So let me ask you a question. Is it different writing a chapter in a book like this than preparing legal pleadings or writing for our local bar association magazines? What's the dynamics? What attracts you to this as opposed to maybe that in the past?
That's a good question. I've never been asked that before, but it's actually really, really good. And I think there's a few dynamics that go with it. I think anyone who loves writing, in that sense, it's similar. It only because you want it to say the right words and the right message, and we're probably overly perfectionist and all that stuff. And so it really matters. I think it doesn't mean that people who aren't like passionate about the writing doesn't matter, but you're worrying about the grammar, you're worrying about all those things. Now, fast a little bit forward, now deeper into it, it's a whole different ball game as far as the heart part. And so when you're writing about legal treatises, and I have chapters in sex harassment books and in employment law books and all that kind of stuff. And so that's very, I can't get that straight. That's left brain, I guess that is. I think
okay.
Right. So it's very, very left brain. And when we're writing, like when I wrote in my Women Who Empower book, which is really, it was our stories. And this one also is, mine's a lot different. Mine's a lot different from everyone else's this time. So I wrote about cats. Okay.
Well, I was gonna add. So this is a little bit more maybe artistic and maybe more from the heart, more of a creative endeavor, which I've noticed I experience in Web3 and the metaverse spaces when I'm doing AI artwork. It allows me to be creative. Okay, I don't have to play within those rigid lines of being a lawyer, those boundaries that the judges and courts make us follow, right? So your chapter, your chapter, you say it's about cats. What's the name of your chapter? And tell us more about it.
So my chapter is lessons from my cats. Listen. I'm trying to if I can get it right here. Listen, trust, and surrender. I couldn't think of that third word.
Listen, trust, and surrender. I like
And those were the stages I had to go through in what I was dealing with. So, by the way, my co-authors, there was 20 of us total, and the writing is just beautiful and soulful. So it's definitely, I think it's at the right brain. If I'm getting that straight, if I'm messing it up, because I always think that it doesn't matter, but anyway, I always get it backwards. But
Yeah,
anyway,
we're good. Nobody knows the difference anyway, so don't worry about it.
they're all going through the same thing. But you're going to have that one person who's always got it corrected. But anyway,
so what did you learn from your cats?
So, well, I will say I have to tell you that this part started with, and I want to remind you, it's a legacy book. And so that factored into what our writing was going to be. And for everybody, so I'm digressing for just a second. It's kind of like, Your Honor, I'm not exactly answering your question, but I will. So.
Please proceed, counsel.
Thank you.
We have people asking questions. They're like, I love cats. I'm looking at real-time comments, everybody. I love cats. What a great idea. Love the metaphor. Or is that an analogy? I'm not sure. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want you to know that you actually have hit a soft spot with a lot of potential readers and buyers of the book. So I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I interrupt away. So it was actually, Mitch was with me from this book, the first book. And so he knows what my chapter was. And it had to do with, I'll just say it's a legally based chapter about corruption in the court that I had to deal with, and made it through, by the way, and went through my most embarrassing moment in law. Well, probably at any point in time. So I thought I would take off from there and do, I have a gazillion trial stories like that. That's for another book. So,
okay.
In any event, I was trying to think of what to write, legacy. And all of a sudden this stuff downloaded, and like literally just downloaded through me and said, you're writing about your cat. So I have two cats, Molly and Oliver, who adopted me through very interesting circumstances for another day. But in any event, Molly ended up with some serious medical stuff. And so I will just say I had to go through certain things. I, as the owner, had to go through certain things. And it's also dealing with one of the most difficult parts is when we can't understand what our cats are doing. And I'm just an example this morning. Molly's been just crying and crying and crying. And I'm literally, are you hungry? Do you have to go to the bathroom? Is there something that hurts? We don't know what's inside of them. So I don't know that she was ever really crying back then about, pain or anything, but it turned out certain symptoms were coming up, and I finally took her to the vet. And I don't go into all the details. So, but in any event, got to leave something for the book. And so we went through all of that, and everything cured. And then we had another problem right after that. And that was even worse. And so it was what I, as the owner, had to do. And then it was so I'll say that when I say lessons from your cats, my cat knew when to tell me I needed to stop. I'm going to say good news is, she's here. She's still around, as is her brother. But it was something I had to make a decision. And I'll just say one little quote from my book. I wondered if I actually was helping her or hastening her demise, and that kind of thing. So it was just a lot of things that they went through and things I had to do. But at some point we had to stop. And then I was facing all these different issues. Like I said, it had a happy ending. I'm a big part of the healing part. I'm going to leave to everyone's imagination, and it can be read in the book because it's a real important part of what happened. So it's one of those things where, Mitch can relate to this. Anyone who's in a professional position or a law position, we all think that we're in control, right? We all think we're strong. We all think we can handle anything. But the biggest part is thinking you're in control. And I had to realize, wow, I really had zero control. I just had zero control. So it was a combination of, all these things. I was fighting everything. And I had to just go, all right, I just have to trust this. Okay. This is going to work the way it's going to work. And I can't do anything more about this. And then it was the trust. So it was, first of all, just the listening. So I was listening to what my cat was basically signaling to me and
Sure.
hoping I was getting the right signals, which I was. Secondly was, the trusting that it's going to work out. And the last part was just surrender. And when I could finally surrender, that's when it all went right. And
Mm.
so, and then it's led into what I hope will be at least a good part of my legacy, which will include a foundation. And so I'm going to be starting that up in 2023. I'm already gearing up now. And so that's the
You're
part.
busy.
Yeah.
You are very, very busy. It's amazing what we can learn
Mhm.
through our observations of other people, of our pets, of our cats,
Mhm.
and how we can take what we've learned to be better human beings. I was sharing a negotiation approach with some C-suite level executives last week, and I talked to them about the power of a baby and the power of our pets. So I was thinking of you, Michelle. Okay, I hadn't even read your chapter yet. The power of pets. They can't speak. We're in control. They have to do what we want them to do. They go where we take them, right? Most of the time. Yet, who's in control in the family dynamic, right? Who's calling all the shots? Who does our unconditional love go out to? And it's to something that doesn't speak English, that we're guessing what their feelings are. But I think if we approach that right, hopefully through the tools you share in your chapter, it'll help us be better human beings, help us in our personal relationships, our business relationships, and the 19 other chapters. Are they also do they contain unique titles like this? Unique
They,
subject matter?
there's
Right. Okay.
There's so much. There are at least
Interesting.
2 people who've been through, I mean, everyone's been through grief, but I'm talking about really going through grief and how they came through it. There's just so much richness in the chapters. And I think we all put super muscle into it, knowing, I guess you're just like living up to the fact it's called a legacy, that we're doing.
Sure. Sure.
And legacy, I guess the way I think everyone comes to the same conclusion with legacy, but as far as our own definition, for me, I think it's not, well, I used to have the image that when you die, what did you leave? It's kind of morbid, but, and what I've learned over the years, I'm in a couple interesting programs. One's called Hero's Journey, where it's not we're the heroes, but we're helping other people to become heroes anyway, I'll just leave it at that. So sorry, I can give you too much detail. I'm that person. So I have to tell you.
No, that's what makes you a great lawyer. That's what made you a great trial lawyer and a great mediator and arbitrator. It's so it sounds like each chapter is going to be an adventure. Each
Yeah.
chapter is a new experience, maybe a new life lesson, all pulled together into a final product, leading with legacy, the new book. Where can everyone get this book, Michelle? If I wanted to go out and order today, if I want to, how do I get the book? What do I need to pay attention to? What blog sites, what websites? You tell me, and please share with our audience.
So it'll be on Amazon. We're asking everyone to hold off till tomorrow. We have a goal of getting to #1 international bestseller.
Ooh, okay.
All of our books before have been that, and so we're hoping for that. And the reason for that
So
is
hold off for what? To pre-order or to order the book?
just to order tomorrow, launch day. So it's
Tomorrow's launch day. Okay.
Important for the rankings to have as many of the sales on the day of. So that's where, and I'm going to be calling on all my friends who are in foreign countries to at least buy a book, because that'll help us to get, the international #1 international status, which we got for, I think just about all of Kate's books have been that. So we have 20 people in our group versus the normal ones. Normally we have 30 people, just the nature of it, because of this legacy chapter, everything's different. One of the other unique things about this is it's going to be the first time we've had Audible. So we will all be doing the Audibles after we've launched this book. So we have more stuff coming down the pipe. But, so we want to make this, as we want to get the reach as far as possible, so more and more people can be helped by the book. And this truly is. And I'm going to tell you this, the other authors, almost many of them have had several. They've written their own best-selling books as well, besides Kate Butler's. And I'm close to finishing mine, but we've got an abundance of talent soulfulness, there's just going to be everything anyone can want. Spirituality, you got that. We got grief, we got that. People who've hit obstacles, how do they get through it? Getting to success, how do you become a better person? How do you reach your joy? How do you reach your bliss? It's all wrapped up in there in those chapters, and everyone has just poured into them. So
sounds wonderful.
Anyway,
Michelle, it sounds wonderful. What an amazing experience. It sounds like it's going to be an amazing book. Everyone in my community, what I want you to do, and everyone in Michelle's community that's watching this live video or the recorded version of this video, number one, share this out with your family and friends. It sounds like a great book, Michelle, and I think we can all use the more good tools we have to become better human beings, the better. Number two, everyone in my community around the world, make sure tomorrow is Wednesday here in the United States. On Wednesday here in the United States, get Leading with Legacy on Amazon. Let's all click. I think it sounds like a great holiday present too, Michelle.
Absolutely.
Great opportunity, right? Stocking stuffer under the tree. So let's do everything we can to amplify this book, Leading with Legacy. It's available on Amazon. Michelle, I'm always available for you. We shared office space, everybody, across the hall from each other for, I think, about 17 years, which went by like that. Maybe not quite 17 years.
I think we started at age 4 and I was 5.
I think we brought our pails of sand and shovels from the beach, Laguna Beach, and then we'd go in and play lawyer, right?
Right.
So we had a few late night, meetings on trial strategies and dealing with clients and dealing with courts and judges. And all I can say is if you and your co-authors packaged into Leading with Legacy all of these tips, all of these tools, and all of these approaches after tomorrow, for those that get the book and read the book and study the book, and then I think most importantly, apply all of the above to their everyday lives. You got to take action, everybody. That's what it's all about. I think the world's going to be a better place. So join me tomorrow in getting Leading with Legacy on Amazon. Michelle, so happy for you, so proud of you. Can't wait for your next book. Make sure you ping me so that we can help amplify that too. For all of you watching, thanks for joining us today. My name is Mitch Jackson. My guest is Michelle Reinglass, and her chapter in the new book, Leading with Legacy, drops tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Make it a masterpiece.
Thank you, Mitch, so much. Really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.